Okay.
And also, what kind of sound system, if you were using a Phoenix or something, what kind of running time?
Okay, all right, these are all good questions, all right? This gentleman asked that, like in a Shay, I mentioned you could put these in a Shay, and what's the voltage of these batteries? What's the run time? What happens if you have a sound system on there? You know, how does that change run time, all right? And these are all variables. These are all very, very good questions, all right? In our world, the battery radio control world for our locomotives, you're going to hear 14.4 volt batteries, which is what this pack represents. You're going to hear 16.8. All right, I have to add the lithium in there in a minute. You're going to hear 18 volts. All right, this pack here happens to be 21.5. All right, now the motors that are in our engines, some are 24 volt. Some are 18. This happens to be a 19, I believe, that's in here. So it's sort of over the board. Heartland, I was surprised, 12 volt. We're doing a Heartland, and I went, whoa, haven't seen a 12 volt motor in a while. So what you try to do is for speed, all right, that's voltage. So you try to match the voltage of the pack to the kind of top end speed or how fast you're going to go. So there's a direct relations there, all right? Run time, and I haven't answered this yet, is based on the amperage of the battery. A battery is rated in milliamps or amps, all right? And most of the battery manufacturers, they put milliamps on them. So these are 2,650 milliamps or 2.6 amps. And if we do the math, if this engine draws 1 ampere per hour, we should be able to run 2.5 hours. We'll keep it simple like that. Now the variable is what happens when you have a sound system. All right, Phoenix has different levels of soundboards. Some draw more power than others. All right, their latest system is called the P5. It's the most efficient system. It also has the most power. All right, and I'm finding it draws less than 1/4 of an amp. It's very, very, very efficient. Okay.
But I know what it said is that you're not supposed to use more than 18 volts.
And
With the air wire.
And that gets a little that gets a little bit more involved because AirWire has some restrictions and then some recommendations, but I really don't think that has anything to do with the Phoenix. Okay. That limitation. Bob?
Well, it also depends on how loud you turn the volume up. The louder you go up, the more current's going to draw. But the biggest draw other than the motor is when you turn that smoke unit on.
And that's a good point. That's a very good point. Everything comes with smoke, even diesels. All right, but smoke out of a diesel isn't the same as a steam engine. It belongs in a steam engine. But when you turn that smoke unit on, you could see 3/4 of an amp drawing out of that. There goes your batteries, boop, right down. All right, but the steam engines are a little more efficient. All right, we still leave the smoke in the steam engines, but there's a switch usually in a lot of them, so you can turn that off. But that's true. That's another thing that would draw. So you got the sound system, which is going to affect runtime. Definitely, if you turn the smoke on, it's going to affect runtime. Yes, sir.
I hardly ever run my railroad. Maybe 2 or 3 or 4 times a year for a day. Some of these batteries have to be maintained with some kind of charge when I'm not running my railroad. I believe the lithium ion can withstand not having to be recharged every now and then when they're sitting idle, whereas the nickel metal hydrides must be occasionally recharged even though I never run my railroad. What's the story there?
Before I have John answer the lithium, all batteries, once they've been charged, naturally discharge. NiCads discharge less than nickel metal hydrides, actually. Even though I prefer nickel metal hydrides because they don't have memory. You might have heard that story about the NiCad batteries. And if you don't charge them or discharge them, the next time they don't run very long, all right, because they have a memory problem, all right? Now, on the lithium, what's been your experience? If you don't run for 3 months, do you have to recharge it, or?
I can't give you a good answer to that because I probably run 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay.
And my batteries never sit around.
That's right.
So I can't give you an answer. Bob might have an answer.
Yeah, I always top them up. You don't have to, but then you're going to get the full run time. The ones you really got to watch are the lead acid gel cell batteries. They're like your car battery. You let a car sit around for a long time, it's going to kill that battery.
Okay.
Earlier Phoenix sound system used a little 6-volt gel cell battery. And I have more and more calls right before Christmas. Someone had one, ran it for Christmas, put it away, and that battery's dead. And you let them sit for a year, you're going to ruin that gel cell battery. Those are the rest of them. I know some of the other batteries I've had for 6-8 years on the shelf, and it took about 3 cycles when I was able to bring them back.
Sure. There we go. I think you had a input.
Well, those newer ones, if you use the battery and it's drained, if you put it away and you don't charge it, that's the worst. So that's going to kill that battery.
That's it.
It sits for at least in the higher grade electronics.
There we go.
That's why I found those batteries. They sit for 4 to 6 months. You just might as well throw it away.
And well, conditioning the battery. We're actually talking about conditioning the battery. I'm from New Hampshire originally, so wintertime, those that are from upstate New York and other areas, they know that sometimes we just can't get out there. Too much snow, especially this year up in New Hampshire. And my experience with these batteries is that all my stuff was stored in the garage. Nothing was stored in the house. So you're talking 0-degree weather, all right? And I would then give the battery maybe a 15-20 minute charge every now and then, just so that it just naturally doesn't totally discharge. Now that's in that climate, all right? That's in that climate. Those that run regularly, they don't see it as much. I have a customer in Florida, and it's amazing. We should all move to Florida because his batteries never die. He calls me and it's 8 hours on the battery. I said, that's impossible, running these things. How are you doing that? He goes, I'm just telling you, it started at 9 this morning and it's still going. So it has to do a lot with the temperature, I think, the humidity and things like that. But in your particular case, and like mine, when I lived in New Hampshire, it just, they sit there for a while and then I charge it up before I go to run. 15-20 minutes. And so.
In this case, if he's got a smart charger and he's only running frequently and just occasionally put it on the smart charger,
sure.
It's going to top off and then it's going to go into flow. So you're not going to hurt the battery.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, you're going to help the battery.
That's right. You just keep the chemistry going. Yeah. And,
you keep that smart charger plugged in all the time?
Yep. When I say a good smart charger, I'm going to give an opinion here. I bought some chargers from batteryspace.com. One was $18, one was $35. All right. They got so frickin' hot when they're